What's up everyone, Chef Dave back with another cooking video, and the weather has begun. It is cold outside, we've got a storm coming in, and really it's time to start thinking about those braised dishes that I truly love so much. And today we're going to talk about chicken paprikash. Now that dish was actually introduced to me as a young person by my neighbor who is Hungarian. And she was the first one who actually showed me this dish. And she knew my love for cooking back then, even as a child. So she knew I would be interested. And this is kind of almost like her version in a lot of ways of this dish. And this is pretty classic and pretty straightforward. It is absolutely fantastic and comforting and flavorful and, with not a ton of ingredients. And most of which you probably have on hand in your house. So it's a great dish to make whenever you're kind of feeling that comfort food vibe. And more importantly, it's a great dish that you can say make at night for the next day because it heats up really well. And we're going to serve it with spaetzle, which is pretty traditional. You can serve it with rice though too, that works. Let's focus on the chicken itself. All right, let's get into it. All right, let's talk ingredients we're gonna need for our paprikash. First off, we got our chicken. You can use any chicken you want, but I would say no matter the chicken you use, it should be bone in, skin on. You really need that skin and bone for flavor. We've got a little bit of flour. You can use any flour. We've got a little whole wheat flour. This is just for dusting the chicken to help thicken the sauce. We've got lots of onion. You got 2 large diced red onions. You got about 4, actually probably about 6 large cloves of chopped garlic. We've got 2 red bell peppers, or orange and red kind of mix. We've got sour cream that we're going to use later to finish. And then we have our spices. And this is pretty straightforward. This is not a spice-forward dish. We've got black pepper, salt, and then our most important thing for paprikash, we got good paprika. I like to mix in a little bit of smoked paprika, just because I like that little bit of flavor. But you can use just regular straight paprika, and there's about a solid 3/4 cup of paprika here. So it's quite a bit, and this is really where the name comes from. So you can use a little bit of stock, chicken stock, or even some sort of meat stock if you have it. I'm going to use a little bit of water for mine. Totally fine. Either works. If you do use stock, you might get a little bit of a richer dish, but I don't think it's necessary, and we're trying to be budget friendly, so we're going to use a little bit of water. And that's it. Let's heat up our pan and let's start our paprikash. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our pan smoking hot, okay? So over high heat right there. I'm going to use olive oil. You can use bacon fat, lard. It's very traditional. I'm keeping it just a slightly bit healthier. So we're going to use a good amount of olive oil. We really want to cover that bottom. Or about 3/4 cup of olive oil. We have our flour. Now we're just going to lightly flour our chicken. It's not fried chicken, so that's not what you're looking for. You're just looking to dust it up. Our oil is nice and hot now, and then we have our chicken just floured lightly, and now we're going to put our chicken in the oil, and we're going to brown on both sides. We're going to take 2 to 3 minutes on both sides. We're not looking to cook the chicken right now. We're just looking to brown it, get a little color, start building up those flavors. As some of you may have noticed, I didn't season my chicken. Salt really draws out the moisture, and it just makes everything splash and go crazy. And since it's being braised in the sauce, I think it's better the chicken is seasoned in the sauce, or by the sauce, if you will. Ooh, getting nice color. Not quite there yet. It's only been about 2 minutes. So it's probably going to take about 3 minutes per side. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful color there. Look at that. Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for right there. Beautiful color. I'm gonna let the other side sear up now. When you're done with all your chicken, you're gonna pull it out. Got all that nice oil behind. Now it's been flavored with chicken fat, if you will. And now we're going to go to our vegetables. So we've got our onions and garlic going in. Peppers going in. We're gonna break out the old school wooden spoon. We're gonna keep this over high heat. And we're gonna kind of really like saute this up. Now there's a lot of vegetables in here, you know, and this is a big pan, but this is quite a bit of vegetables, but I want that lots of vegetables to be at the end. So now that we've stirred this up, we're gonna let this saute probably about 10 minutes or so. We really want the development of flavor to begin here. That's why we're gonna leave it on high, maybe get some caramelization on the bottom, stir it up every once in a while, but really kind of build those layers before we add our spices. So it's been about 10 minutes now. We have built great flavor here. We got a fond building up in this corner. You know, we're stirring that in. The bottom is still very clean, but we're stirring in those little fried bits. Great foundation right here. And now at this point, we're ready to add our salt, pepper, and paprika. Just like that. Again, this is quite a bit of paprika, given the name. What you want to do here, and you want to be careful with, is paprika does like to burn, okay? Because it's quite absorbent as far as spices are concerned, you know, because it's basically dry peppers. So it does love to soak up liquids. That's why it's important at this point to kind of watch a little bit. You want to toast this up. You want to get those flavors going in the oil because it's an oil-soluble spice. Very important to really toast up the paprika. So we're going to leave this on high still, but we're going to monitor it a little bit closer. And we're just going to cook this up for about 2 minutes or so. All right, this is super aromatic now. Really, really, really nice. You can see kind of the oil has been stained with this orange color. It's starting to want to stick a little bit. And that's kind of the signs that, you know, you're in the right place. You have a little bit of the flour that's left over. You don't have to do this. I just don't like to waste. So stir that in. If you wanted to add a tablespoon or two of flour to this, totally fine. Some recipes vary, but fantastic. Now, we're going to add a little bit of water first, or stock if you're using stock. A little bit, just to kind of barely cover the vegetables. Just deglazing, if you will. Now we're going to place our chicken back into skin side up, single layer style. Now we can see how much liquid we actually need. Just come to the top of the chicken, okay? Right there. You see that? Where it's still peeking out a little bit? It's exactly where you want it. Now, at this point, it shouldn't stick on the bottom. Okay, we're gonna bring this to a simmer. Once it brings to a simmer, we're gonna cover it for 30 minutes. And then we're gonna uncover it for another 30 minutes. This is not a beef knuckle. This does not take 3 hours to cook. In an hour, this will be beautifully tender and perfect. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes now on our Paprikash. I know I said 30 minutes, but I'd like to see the sauce reduced perhaps just a little bit more. So we're going to uncover it now, which, I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic. And we're gonna cook this we're gonna check it in 30 for a total of 50 minutes, so less than an hour. And at that point, we'll see where we're at. But we want this liquid to reduce just a little bit. All right, here we are, and we're at 50 minutes. This is cooked perfectly, super tender. So it only took 50 minutes to cook. That was 20 minutes covered and then 30 uncovered. The sauce is perfect. Seasoning is great. And now we are going to do the last step. This is on very low heat. We're going to turn this off now. And we're going to add our sour cream. Now, the amount of sour cream is up to you. You can add as much or as little as you want. I'm going to put a little bit because then I like putting more on my plate. So that's how I do it personally. But I do believe that it should have some in there. And so we're just going to take our Daisy sour cream. We're going to give probably about a cup's worth in there. We're going to just stir this in, thicken and enrichen the sauce. Gentle, you don't want to pull the chicken apart. That's it right there. Perfect. And we're gonna, like I said, garnish with more. Now you can finish this with lots of fresh parsley if you want, or even scallion for that matter. I don't have any of those on hand, so this is how this is gonna stay for us. And now on this other pan here, we're gonna warm up the spaetzle, and I'm gonna plate one. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. All right, here we go. We've got our spaetzle, nice and crispy. We're gonna put that on the bottom here. And now we've got our paprikash. I'm gonna put a little of the sauce over the top first. Okay, perfect. And then my chicken. And a little bit more sauce with all those onions and everything right over the top. Look at that. That is chicken paprikash. As I said earlier, we serve that with a little bit more sour cream. That's ready to go. And there you have it, everyone. Chicken paprikash, one of my all-time favorites. Very rich, fulfilling dish. Hits all the notes that I love. Served with some spaetzle. Do this at home. Follow these recipes. Let me know what your favorite version of chicken paprikash is. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're enjoying this content. If you are, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. And Chef Dave will see you on the next one. Peace.